welcome. My name is Truly Matthews, and I'm Deputy Director and Director of Education and Engagement at the Virginia Museum of Contemporary Art. And we are absolutely thrilled that you are here with us tonight. This means so much to us. Before I get started, I just want to acknowledge a few dignitaries that are in the audience with us tonight. I want to recognize Virginia Senator Aaron Rouse. As well as School Board Official Alvita Green. Thank you all for being here. Tonight is a real milestone for Virginia MOCA. We are celebrating the first major program of our inaugural exhibition, Chanel Abney, The Pursuit of Happiness, which is on view in our brand new building just right outside these doors. And we could not have imagined a more fitting moment than this. Virginia MOCA is a non-collecting contemporary art museum that has been serving Hampton Roads in Virginia and beyond for 70 years. Yeah. We exhibit and celebrate contemporary artists who are living and working today, making artwork about the world we live in. And I cannot think of better examples of that than the two people who will be on stage with us tonight. The exhibition, Chanel Abney, The Pursuit of Happiness, curated by our senior curator, Heather Hakimzadeh. Yeah, give it up for Heather. Yeah. Brings together monumental paintings, sculptures, collages. Abney's work pulls from popular culture, news, and the restless churn of digital life and transforms it all into images that are both seductive and unsettling. The work draws you in and insists you look deeper at joy, at struggle, and what it means to pursue anything at all, especially in this moment, in this world today. The exhibition is on view until August 16th, and our grand opening is tomorrow night. It is sold out, but Virginia MOCA is free for Virginia residents. So if this is your first introduction to us, I hope it's not your last. There is so much more waiting for you. So before I get out of the way, I want to thank the incredible team at Virginia Wesleyan University for being such gracious partners and hosts. Thank you for the use of this beautiful theater tonight. Thank you to the team at Have a Good Day Studio as well. Let's give it up for Virginia Wesleyan and have a good day. Yep. I also now want to introduce our guide for this conversation. She is a TV host and producer whose skills have been on display locally and nationally, moderating and hosting panels and events for the Stars Network, TV One, creative agencies, the National Urban League. From empowerment panels to music festivals, fashion weeks to red carpets, she brings depth and personality to everyone she interviews. Alongside her media career, she's the Director of Engagement and Communications for Yellow, an education nonprofit founded by Pharrell Williams. She's been recognized as a 40 Under 40 honoree by both Inside Business and Hampton University, and also a Trailblazer awardee by Envision Lead Grow, and is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Please welcome to the stage some sorority sisters in here, yeah. Please welcome to the stage Stephanie L. Sutton.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Yes, thank you. Let's give that Virginia welcome. I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming our guests to the stage. I'm going to bring them out now so y'all don't have to wait. Chanel Abney and Pusha T. Nina, this is how we do it in Virginia. I hope you feel the love. Push, you already know how we get down here.
Yep.
All right. right, so in case you're unfamiliar with our guests, I'm going to give you a brief bio of each of them. Nina Chanel Abney is a New York-based painter whose bold, large-scale canvases sit at the intersection of abstraction and representation, broaching subjects as diverse as race, celebrity, religion, politics, and art history through disjointed, nonlinear narratives. Drawing from autobiography, current events, and traditional storytelling, her work carries a pop surrealist, cubist sensibility, fragmented, vivid, and eclectic, conjuring the speed and overload of contemporary life. Her practice is deeply multifaceted. Beyond the canvases, she has collaborated with Jordan Brand and with Mattel Creations on a custom Uno deck, extending her visual world into cultural and everyday objects. Her public commissions include a monumental mural for Lincoln Center's David Geffen Hall in New York, and her work is held in the collections of the Whitney Museum of American Art, the Museum of Modern Art, the Brooklyn Museum, and the Dallas Museum of Art, among many others. Nina Chanel. I had to cut that bio down by like 5 pages. All right, and then Terrence Thornton, better known as Grammy award-winning artist Pusha T, is one of the most influential rappers alive. Thornton began his music career in 1992 when he and his brother Malice formed rap group duo Clips. Their albums Lord Willin' and Hell Hath No Fury, both of which were produced by the Neptunes, are accepted masterworks of the genre, each elevating the sonic scope and lyricism of street rap. His solo work includes My Name Is My Name, King Push, Darkest Before Dawn, The Prelude, the Grammy-nominated Daytona, and his first Billboard 200 #1 album, It's Almost Dry. Pusha is the former president of Good Music and founder of his own label, Airwave Music Group. He is the co-founder of Cousins Festival, a multi-generational music and cultural festival hosted in Norfolk, Virginia, featuring performances from national recording artists, art exhibitions, and community collaborations that bring economic vitality to the Hampton Roads region. Pusha T. So tonight we are here having a conversation with 2 artists from different mediums. We have visual art, we have musical art, and we're gonna have a conversation about your processes, about the design, about how you all actually work to bring this artwork to life. And I know this is not you all's first time meeting, but this is your first time in conversation like this. So let's set the stage for how y'all even met. I think it's been a couple years now since y'all actually first met and maybe collaborated.
Yeah, it's been a while. We have a mutual friend named Easy, who owns a gallery in Chicago and a brand called Infinite Archives, and we're good friends. And at the time, I was wanting to get into more collaboration in apparel, and so he said, I have an opportunity. So I ended up doing a shirt for Pusha in 2019 for Something in the Water Festival in
Stand up,
Coachella.
Monique. Show the shirt.
Oh, you brought a model today.
Brought a model?
Wow, okay. So, I mean, from there, Pusha's collected my work. I'm always DMing his wife for her ceramics that are always sold out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just kind of stayed in communication.
Yeah. For me, you know, when I would see Nina's work, it was always really polarizing. It was like polarizing with a message. It was black. I was like, man, if I could write raps like this, you know, like this colorful with, you know, and get that type of messaging across, I was like, man, my content may be different. But it was it always just spoke to what was going on in the world. It spoke to issues, and again, it was polarizing. So I wanted to, I knew, like, man, when it was time to do the shirt for, I think that was the Something in the Water, the first Something in the Water.
2019.
I was like, man, Nina should do it, and then it'd be like a ode to my love for polo as a young kid, but, you know, speaking to you know, just, you know, Virginia Beach and everything. And I thought that she put an interesting flip on it.
Yeah. When I think about each of you and what you all do, the word culture comes to mind. And I think also now culture is very colloquial for blackness. And when you think, y'all know exactly what I'm saying. And when you think about it, we talk about style and fashion and like geographical region. When you think about the culture that each of you all grew up in, who influenced you to really be where you are today and experience the work that you all have done?
I think I grew up in a great time where I feel like it was almost a renaissance that maybe can't be duplicated, but like coming of age in the 90s and early 2000s, thinking about just the variety of Black creatives across so many different mediums, just the cross-pollination, like Michael Jordan wearing a Malcolm X hat, or Carl Kanai, Def Poetry, like it just was really so much going on, and so that was very inspiring to me. Also, if I think more abstractly about it, like the birth of the rap mogul and how one person could world build across different industries was influential to me in thinking about having like a multifaceted practice.
I'd have to agree with that. I've said a lot in recent interviews that Yo MTV Raps probably taught me how to dress. Like, you go through high school and, junior high school or whatever, but like Rap City, Yo MTV Raps, that definitely had like a real influence on like me dressing. And I'd have to say my peers. Like my peers, my peer group in school was always like, we were like super competitive. We were super into hip hop. We were like always trying to find out what was next. We were skipping school and running to DC and just running any and everywhere we could go to find the energy. And so I'd have to say a lot of my friends were without going into like entertainment in the industry, like my friends were a big influence on me, a lot of them.
And you each just named things or people and places that you were influenced by. And I want to talk about, like, there's a process to even getting to those levels of, like, the Yo MTV Raps, the rap moguls. Nina, when you think about the process, I know everybody's probably had a chance to go see your beautiful exhibition over at MOCA. But what we're seeing right now is the end result. And so when you think about the process, how does it move from ideation into something that is really resolved and intentional?
I think for me it's all about preparation. So before I start a body of work, I'm gathering a bunch of references. If I'm painting, I'm making like a whole library of stencils to work with or paper cutouts. And so once that could take months. Once I get all of that together, I'm kind of working more in an improvisational ways. And so to me, that's the most fun part, when I kind of get to that part. And then I don't know if I ever feel like a work is resolved. I always feel like there's something I could have done differently that helped me think about the next body of work. And something like creating work intentional, I try to set the intention in the beginning. Yeah.
Push, for you, same with the process. You've been very vocal over this last press run cycle, talking about how this was the first time that you all actually wrote your lyrics to the style and cadence of the production that was happening with your last album. Right. How did that feel, kind of being in a more structured environment versus being a little more loose and fluid, and how did that really affect the outcome?
I think that first of all, Pharrell specifically has been trying to get us to do this forever. Like, he's been like, he's like big on song structure. It's very much like school. He's like super into song structure. So it's all about the cadence. It's all about the pattern. He calls it being sticky. He wants the whole song to be sticky. He wants the person to sing the hook, bop their head to the melody, and sing along in cadence with you. So he's been trying to get us to do this forever. And I always like, man, I'm not trying to do all that. Like, let me write these mixtape verses real quick, and I want to say these words, and I don't want to stencil. I have a point that I want to get across, so I don't want to stencil it and keep it confined to a melody. That's that's me being selfish, like just wanting to get it out how I want to get it out. Anyway, he held us to task this time. This time he was like, "No, man, listen, we gotta do it. You've been doing it like this. You done put out all these albums just like this. We gotta do something different. Y'all coming back, let's just give them this." And I can say it worked, man. Let God sort them out. I think that's a big thing. Like, yeah.
Well, and to piggyback off of that for both of you, when you think about something like there's a model that does quote unquote work, but when you think about if somebody's asking you to commission a piece of work or somebody's asking you to be a part of a song, what is it like to have to be in somebody else's box versus, you know what, I'm just gonna just do my own thing. I really want the chance to just be free with it. What is the difference in the process in those? Because when you're doing something for somebody else's work or somebody else's mural or somebody else's song, it's a different thought process.
I don't really take a lot of commissions, first of all. Or I set parameters so I'm not compromising my own voice or what I want to do. Sometimes it's harder when, I guess, working with brands because it's a lot more stipulations for that. But even that, I have to have my own boundaries with it. So as long as I'm doing that, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think the only time I'm gonna compromise right now, not even compromise, but try to, color within the lines is probably on a brand situation, honestly. Do a lot of work for movies. Sometimes, doing music for movies, they give you these things to rap about or, please try to incorporate this. Like, it's so corny. It's like the
rap about my plaid shirt.
Corny.
What?
They're always corny. But it just, you do it. I do it for other reasons. I do it to honestly just show how far rap can go and how far street rap can go, honestly. So when you see or hear the Succession remix and I don't know, Arby's commercials and things like that, it's like, I don't turn down those opportunities because I feel like it shows people coming up like, this can go this far. This can really be here from this guy who talks about this,
Well, and from that, it seems like both of you all are very clear on where your boundaries are in terms of what you will and won't do. And as you've evolved in your careers, have there been moments where the things that you've done in the symbolism, whether it's in your work or your songs, have created barriers to entry versus opening doors for entry?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say a lot of times. It's happened for me. It's not a meeting that I don't go into where, the board doesn't bring up, well, you said such and such. People do that all the time. But I think my brand partnerships have showed other brands like, oh, wait a minute, Adidas. He's been with Adidas for 12 years. I've been with LV since 23. So it's like, now it's like, you get other entities and other brands like, they be like, well, they did it. Like, they're being edgy about it. And the things that I do with those brands, they're always tasteful. They always, they get some of the sauce. They get some of the rap sauce, like they want it.
Yeah, sometimes I'll have people, bring up some of my older projects and have certain stipulations, like you can't depict this or that. As far as brands, I think barriers for me is just honestly being a Black queer woman. So, luckily I've been able to lean on people in my community who might be in spaces that are hard to get in, that advocate for me. And yeah, I feel like I'm always constantly running against the wind, but once I'm in the door, I'm always trying to help others also.
Yeah, there are a lot of good people too. Sometimes a lot of these corporations hire that super savvy marketing guy who's like, yo, I'm telling y'all what's going on. Listen, it's this big beef happening right now. So if we get this guy to do this song versus this company, I'm telling you it's gonna hit. Like, they do the math and they have they have those guys who are outside. They make really good hires and have people that are outside and understand, what's actually going on in the culture. And, they reach out and we make it work.
Yeah. And in those moments when they do reach out and when you are working on projects.
You tax them.
How do you, well, yeah.
You tax them.
Add the culture tax.
You must tax. That's like a rule.
What's it called? The push tax.
Across the board. We all have to know this. We tax.
Well,
and then we do it. It's
in
fine.
those moments, though, like when you're in those moments, how do you maintain like that clear sense of direction? Because sometimes when the money is the money, you're like, ugh, okay, I might. It's corny to rap about a plaid shirt, but maybe I'll do it. It's
Right.
like, how do you maintain your clear sense of direction for, the artwork that you want to produce and art for both of you all?
Sometimes it's difficult. I'm not gonna lie, but I've turned down many projects that I didn't feel like was in line with my morals or my brand, because you might take that opportunity and temporarily you'll get the money, but it might just affect what you're doing later. So.
No, I feel that. Like, definitely. I mean, nothing should, nothing should compromise your principles or your moral standing. In a sense of music and doing records with certain brands and stuff like that, it's like, like I said, I look at it in a way of showing people, how far this can go and actually who's doing it. Like, it used to be, I don't know, Macklemore had to do the commercial. You know what I'm saying? It's like safe. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I take that opportunity as like, nah, like Pusha T is about to do this commercial, the Pusha T way, and I think that just does a lot more for creatives to see that. To see that, and for us to just see how far rap can go. Like, man, I remember people saying rap wouldn't last. Like, I'm from that time. Like, my parents told me that. Like, seriously. But so it's for me, it's just just try to take it as far as it can go.
Both of you mentioned really doing things your way, and I want to lean into that a little more because each of your works showcase a lot of symbolism where you might think is what it is, but I'm like, I'm not sure what it is. Like, Nina, when I looked at your exhibition, I was like, oh my gosh, I've seen it 3 times, and I'm like, dang, I see something different every time. I'm like, does she mean this? Does she mean that? Obviously, we know your lyrics is like symbolism for everything. So when you think about all the work that both of you all do, how do you determine how much of a gap you leave for interpretation versus closing the loop and saying, hey, this is exactly what I want people to know and people to feel and people to understand about this work of art?
I think it depends on what I'm gonna, do work on, but I think for me, I like to be in that gap. I feel like that's where my work thrives. Like, I like to set parameters to start a conversation, because I kind of feel like if I'm too prescriptive, how can I expect someone to, I guess, formulate their own connection with the work if I'm dictating to them what to think about it? And so when I'm thinking about artwork that I like myself, is art that I feel like I can enter into that's not necessarily so obvious. So I like the gap of interpretation.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same. I love the gap of interpretation. That's where I get my satisfaction from. There's nothing like, going to a show and seeing somebody rap word for word with you. And you can just tell that it hits them the same way it hit me. When I'm pinning the line and they're saying it back to me, I'm like, oh yeah, you got it. That's my satisfaction. At the same time, it's, even, man, I've even been on Twitter, somebody will quote me wrong and I'll be like, hey man, thanks, but, and they'd be like, oh my God, I didn't know you said that. That's crazy. That's crazier. So I think it just calls for like a dialogue that that as a writer, you know, you look for that. You look to be understood. You look to be talked about. You look to be praised for that bar and those bars and things like that.
Nina, in a similar fashion, when you hear stories like that, and I'm sure you've read think pieces about your work, have you read something you're like, dang, they got it, or like, whoa, I didn't even think of it like that?
Oh yeah, all the time people bring, their interpretations to me, and I mean, I enjoy when, people bring things up to me that I hadn't thought about. So I enjoy it. There are some times where it's not translated how I want.
Too far.
I'm like, ooh, they missed the mark. They missed the mark, but maybe sometimes that's more in articles and stuff like that. But I mean, it comes with the territory, I guess.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that I think that the more people talk about it, talk about the art, talk about interpret the art, I think that that really does something for the music. It does something for the music and just for art in general. Like, keep that conversation going. Keep that conversation going. That keeps the journalists. You know what I'm saying? That keeps them working. That keeps the rollouts feeling good. That makes it a moment. Like, and I think that everything in which we try to create, we're trying to create a moment, like a really timestamp. I mean, I know I am musically. Like, listen, this is what's going on at this time, and you have to have those discussions to keep that going.
Yeah, and in creating those moments, there's a lot of things that nobody will ever see as a part of that process. So talk about the things that you kind of keep close or that you feel comfortable sharing in this environment as a part of the process that it's so essential to the final product, but nobody ever knows about it, but it's so critical to the work.
I would think the part no one sees is thinking about the time between like a project being done and the beginning of a new one. So that could be a month or 2 years. I mean, it could be difficult depending if your last project was a failure or too much of a success where you feel like you have to top your last project. So I think that's a space that I never hear creatives talk about. Maybe how to get through a creative block to get yourself to the next project, taking in like different inspiration and like a replenishment period.
Man, people will never see or never hear the conversations that happen before songs are made with us. These conversations are, this is where the song comes from, totally. Like, what's making you angry? What did you see that you thought was corny? Like, what do you want to attack? What are you trying to get across? Like, what do you feel? And these conversations, like, some days the studio session is nothing but a conversation. There's no music being made. There's no lines, nothing. We'll talk. We'll talk for 6 hours. And then, next morning we come in like, yo, I was thinking I got this joint, But the lines come from conversations. Yeah. A lot of times. Yeah, and
I feel like there's, to your point, there's like a lot of conversations that almost can't be said publicly, right? Like, it's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes. And, I think about the era, Black era, it's like, what happens in this house stays in this house. We don't talk about it. And Nina, I think about the work that you have explored around Black fraternity and sorority life and colleges. Shout out to all the D9 in here. What is the line between what you're willing to say versus like leaving it up to not only interpretation, but, maybe I shouldn't say this because there's already a perception out there about members of the D9 or about HBCUs. Like, I love the depth that you go into with that work.
Let me not get beat up after this.
There's a lot of us in here, Nina. Hold on. There's a lot of us in here, girl.
But, I just start foremost by centering my own experience and not try to talk for a group or represent a group. I'm representing myself and my own experience. But I think for that work in particular around Greek life and college life was my own reflection on my own experience in college and using the idea of college and Greek life as a vehicle to talk about belonging and the idea of some people having to conform and at the expense of their own identity for the sake of having community. So,
wait, say that again, Nina.
just at your own expense of your identity, conforming, to have a sense of belonging and community. So that's where it came from, not necessarily to be critical on anyone specifically, but just centering my own experience in college, wishing I had more of a camaraderie around folks like myself.
Yeah, what did that, and obviously not to get, you don't have to call anybody out, we're not saying who it was, but when you think about your experience in Blackness and in community, how did that shape your view of community going out into the world after college? And when you see like groups of Black communities that aren't even Greek affiliated?
I mean, I feel like I've had such a very extreme experience of, college being at a predominantly white institution where I'm maybe one of 20 Black students, from being in high school, being all Black students. So I've had like very extreme experiences just growing up, but I love being in the Black space, so like I have no problem thinking about communities outside of college. I think as soon as I graduated, I went to New York because I felt like that's where it was going to be more fun for me. But for me, it was more just looking for Black queer communities specifically that I feel like I didn't really have access to in the Midwest at the time. When I was thinking about queerness, it was very like, you don't tell anybody kind of atmosphere. So,
thank you. I appreciate your perspective on that. Did you want to?
I don't know. I don't know anything about college.
You're performing at colleges.
You know what?
I'm just saying.
I actually
you were hanging out on college campuses.
I did go to college.
Okay.
For a year. I didn't finish. But no.
It's never too late. Hampton, Norfolk State, somebody offer this man an honorary something? So when you talk about both of your works, we talked about interpretation, we talked about symbolism, and when a lot of times it's like saying less in your work can either make people like fear you or it can make people want to embrace you. When you all think about the culture that you're in terms of art and music, what is most important to you? And maybe I can even deduce this down to like right now, relevance or influence? Or do they live together?
I would say they live together. Oh, I'm sorry. I would say they live together. Relevance. If you're relevant, that means there is probably a bit of a community that you influence. No matter how small. How big, how small, there's somebody that, that's looking at you and is into what you're into. A few people. Damn, that's tough, man.
Well, maybe even look at it like in this season that you're in.
Yeah, I mean, my like I've been saying here recently, like this is all about who can stay the purest the longest for me. So, I guess, I could be pure to myself, but not be relevant to you guys. But, I don't know. That's what it's about, man. It's just about, the person who's going to stick around is the person who's going to be the purest. So, I think maybe relevance. I'm going to lean towards that.
I would say neither. I don't think you can predict that. I guess I'm more focused on making work, thinking about it being honest and necessary, and I think eventually that will find its place. Like, I think I've come to terms with thinking about some of my work might not be appreciated till later. And so I guess I hope that my work will just resonate with the right audience that it's meant for.
I like that. Nice perspective, Nina. Oh, clearly you're very relevant right now. Like, we're having a whole exhibition conversation here because of you. So you are very relevant and very influential.
Be clear.
Clearly. We've discovered, talking about the highs of it, but there's failure that does come with the work that each of you do. How do you all navigate the failures to kind of turn the curve and make it something that is worthwhile?
Man, I would say musically, if something doesn't perform the way I expect, if I don't get the award I'm looking for or whatever, I just use it as fuel. Use it as fuel for the next project. Like, this is something I love to do. So it's nothing is ever so disappointing that I'm like, oh, I'm, putting down my pen. I have to. Like, I have to write. I have to make music. This isn't something that I can't, I don't care what happens. I could sell one record tomorrow. The next day I'm going to write a verse. Or, the next week, or I'm going to hear a beat and I'm going to be inspired. So I think I don't even look at music failures I don't know how to look at it, because this is like kind of in me. This isn't it's a job, but it's something I think I have to do. I wouldn't be happy not doing it.
And Nina, same for you. And how do you get it to something that actually feels right, that you want to put it out there?
I feel like I'm always taking a lot of risk. So as far as failure, I just use that as a lesson for the next thing, or like Pusha said, fuel to drive me to keep going. Sometimes I feel like, when you're experimenting on work that is outside of what people expect, it's automatically deemed a failure. So I think about that sometimes. I feel like this exhibition is actually a culmination of experimental work, some of which maybe didn't resonate at the time, but now coming back and returning to my exhibition, taking a look yesterday, I said, it's relevant right now. Maybe it wasn't when I put it out, but yeah, I'm not necessarily scared of failure. I feel like it's a quote, failure is if you don't even try, so I at least have to try if I have the opportunity.
Yeah, Nina mentioned risk. I feel like, too, when you take risk, it's I think it's hard to fail when you take a risk, because it's who can judge? This is something nobody else probably would have done. So the people can't even judge, what it is that you're, they can't even judge the risk. They can't. It's they didn't even have the capacity to even think to even do it like this. They would have never done it. They didn't have the courage to do it. I think about it. I think about when we first started in music, the Neptunes were super hot. They ran the radio. They had all these records. Pharrell singing on all of the hooks on every hit record. And he give us Grinding with him not singing on the hook. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why? And he was just like, man, I'm telling you, this is going to change everything. Listen to what I say. And, he was right. He was right about that record. But at the time, and the argument that happened during that, I was like, man, you just sung on Nelly, Mystical, this guy. I'm talking about, and all of them, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to 10. And I'm like, and you're about to give me a record with your vocal not on it? You just talking? I was pissed. But listen, I didn't see the vision. I didn't see the vision. But I listened. we did, and we made the record, and it was a classic record. But that, yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, beating on the tables. But that was taking the risk though. Yeah. Even with him, it was like, man, he knew the formula to be on the charts, but he was like, nah, this one's gonna last.
Yeah. And that longevity is key, and both of you all have been in the game for decades now.
Yeah.
Decades now. When you think about your longevity and you think about the vision, what has shifted for each of you in terms of what you started with and how you were creating versus maybe like what you thought you wanted and it shifted?
I think very early on I was maybe creating for the audience and not necessarily had honed into my own voice, thinking more about maybe what was being well received at the time. And so now I feel like I'm like in line with like my own vision, and so I think that's the difference from being younger and learning and now feeling more confident and like settled in my practice.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've lived through so many different eras of hip hop culture. Like I've lived through so many different eras and genres of music. The only thing that I feel like is that the fundamentals never die. And I mean, once I kind of realized that, I was like, oh man, the world is mine. I was like, I just feel like you just have to be, if you fundamentally can just be nice with the pen, that does not go out of style to me. And you have to be, progressive in your taste and learn how to, compete with what's trendy, what's popular, what's going on, while still keeping your shape, your fundamental poise. But that's it's a task, but it's fun. Yeah. Because I don't think that skill set goes out of style.
Well, speaking of being progressive in style, each of you have evolved past your mediums of just putting things on canvases and putting, hits on the chart. Push, you often talk about how your style has elevated in fashion, and you are a conversationalist for having one-of-one pieces of jewelry or items. And then Nina, for you, when you think about how you've transitioned into doing things with the Jordan brand and Uno cards, both of y'all have gone far beyond what you started. How is it to try to remain relevant when crossing over into things that people might not have quote unquote known you for to start with?
Well, I started to delve out into other mediums to create more accessibility. So that to me was the focus. I think my first shoot with Jordan was a big challenge, and it was like, I think a challenge for me, scary time to delve into the sneaker industry. It's a lot of trolls out there. But, I was willing to take that risk and really thinking about, not everyone can afford my paintings and wanting people to still be able to experience the work, and whether that's through like a basketball court or a public mural or Uno cards. And at the time where I set out to do that, it was kind of looked down upon for a fine artist to have a web store or put their work on a t-shirt. So I was always wanting to, challenge that and get to the audience that I feel like, I think, I don't want to say mattered the most, but where I'm from, I'm more in tune with the audience that can afford Uno cards versus a very expensive painting,
But you'll take both audiences.
I'll take both. I definitely would take both, but I like to create that accessibility.
Yeah, I think, I think that the idea of, diving into different mediums is something that again, shows the growth of hip hop as a music, as a genre. I think that's something that I've always looked at it as like, man, we got to do it. We got to check this box. We got to check this box. Again, I remember, hip hop wasn't supposed to be around for a long time. I remember not being televised on the Grammys. You couldn't even watch the hip hop category. So with all these things, and living through it and watching it, when these opportunities arise, I take them a little bit more personally, as a hurdle to jump, a box to check off, to show my peers, those, who are coming up in the game, like, listen, this is all of ours. Like, we can do any of this, anything we want to do. And they want it. Like, they want the sauce. So I don't, I don't shy away from anything that is gonna put rap in lights. You know what I'm saying? I want it always to be in lights.
Nina, we're here this evening, obviously having a conversation because of the work that you have created. And I think about conversation building trust and sparking creativity. When you think about this digital overload that we are in right now, how do you navigate the noise versus the things that you really want to articulate and complete? Because it's a lot of stuff in the universe right now, and I can imagine being an artist, being a creative, looking and constantly consuming that being a noise in your head. So what does that look like in terms of separating the digital overload and the work that you want to complete?
I think in the last couple of years it's been difficult because my work is driven off the news and social media, and I don't even want to look at the news in the last couple of years, so it's been kind of difficult to do my work that's kind of driven off that stuff. But I still feel like a responsibility to myself to, like, in a time of censorship, and to still, like, pull it together and make the work that I want to make.
Yeah. Push, when you think about the weight and the work and the feelings of worthiness, this year you all won your first Grammy after decades of work. How does the work, the weight, and the feelings of worthiness translate to how you parent two black sons in an environment where they're told that black is less than, and how does it show up in your work?
Man, well, let me start by saying that everything I do is for my sons. Yeah. Everything. Like, anything, being here, is all of it's for my sons. I think that having two sons has definitely made me more conscious about some of the things that I say and just how I incorporate them in my music. I've been very open about incorporating them in my music. Well, definitely Nigel. He was first, and he might got a whole song, don't he? Yeah, or close. But it's just, man, you just gotta prepare them for the world and be open and honest and show them that the opportunities that are out there, and just guide them. That's the only thing I look to do. I'm only looking to be a great dad. Like, that's nothing else is I don't think there's nothing else music can necessarily do for me that I haven't experienced through music. I've gotten everything, I've done it all, but no, being a great dad and balancing the music and the great dadness is that's something to conquer. Once I conquer that, we good.
I'm going to get to a few audience questions in just a second, but Nina, your exhibition is called The Pursuit of Happiness, and In the United States' Declaration of Independence, our inalienable rights are listed as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So what do both of you hope that dignity and freedom look and feel like for future generations of creatives?
I think I would say for creatives to be able to not compromise, their own voice, not to have to create out of survival, maybe even access to resources and infrastructure so creatives can create without having to rely on someone else and ask permission or be at risk of their ideas being stolen and co-opted by people who have resource and infrastructure. So I think that's what I would hope for the future creatives.
Yeah, I would definitely say that resources and infrastructure and the ability to create within their lane, and create their own lane to get it out to the world is most important. It's like a independent artist. I've always admired independent music artists. People who created, their fan base and everything. And I looked at them and I admired them and I envied them. I was like, damn, how did you get all these people to like you so quick? Without having to, like we did. We had to, go out of town, go to, New York and, find our way. I think future creatives, if they could adopt some of those independent principles and carve out those lanes, it'll be more beneficial for everybody.
Thank you. You all did have an opportunity to ask Nina and Pusha some questions. So our first question is for Nina. It says, what would you tell your younger self when you felt challenged in creating art?
I would just tell my younger self to be confident and keep going. I think when I was younger, how I was drawing and painting maybe wasn't, I guess I feel like my art didn't fit in at the time. And so now being older, thinking about that's where the magic is and your uniqueness. So I think that's what I would tell my younger self. Like, weird is cool.
At this juncture in your respective careers, what are you seeking in collaborations when presented with new ventures?
Ownership.
Same.
One word. Next. In a world where AI-generated art and songs are appearing en masse, what do you think it means to be a human creating art, and how do you prioritize your craft?
I'm actually writing a proposal right now for a project where I'm thinking about AI. I think creatively, I find some inspiration in how to tackle it. What does it mean for AI to converge with human? So I'm actually thinking about that right now for a project, but I know it's a lot of controversy around it. Yeah. I might. I can't say what the project is, but it's to work in tandem with actual humans to write stuff in tandem to see how it would converge with like AI.
Coming
somehow.
soon.
Coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I see the I see all the talk about AI music. I don't even know how that works. But I mean, no, listen, I don't, but it's because, again, I'm a writer, so I gotta feel it. I gotta see it. I'm not even like a cell phone writer. I'm like a pen and paper type person.
No notes in your notes
yeah,
app.
there's no notes in my notes app. So it's just a certain way. It's just a certain way that I get my creative satisfaction. So the other day we were working on music, and we were trying to figure out, like, man, who'd be great to sing on this hook? And the engineer just starts pulling up AI vocals of like every person that we were naming. And I was like, oh my God, like, it's that easy? Like, he would sound the best. And then you go out and you reach out to him, but it's like, damn, we might not even, let's not send him what we listened to, even how we made our choice. You know, he might get offended, but that's how we figured it out.
Yeah.
But he was like, yo, it was like, and that was my first time ever like seeing him even, you know, because we like, damn, who, you know, but this guy sound better, would that guy sound better? He was like, hold on a minute.
Somebody's probably doing that with you right now in the studio.
Right now. But it was crazy. But you know, and then listen, we reached out to people like, hey, can you sing this hook? We think you'd be great on it. Not knowing we already heard you for real. Yeah, but I mean, it was the first time I seen it. I was like, oh wow, this is crazy.
What is your advice or experience on artists or musicians going viral or seeing success? And how do you think one could best capitalize on such a moment? I mean, you all both started in the era where there was no social media or anything.
Yeah, I think I guess consistency. I think once, you know, I think if you happen to go viral with something that you put out, I feel like you have to just kind of ride that wave with consistency, and you know, hopefully it turns into something for you. I don't, you know, again, it's not my it's not my world.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like try to turn it into something sustainable. I think being a creative, it always feels kind of unpredictable to me, where, you know, my work could fall out of, you know, public favor at any moment. At least that's kind of how I feel. So I just say, like, try to turn into something that is sustainable.
Nina and/or Push, how often do you find yourself reflecting on past works, and what feelings typically arise?
Never. I don't even, like, when I'm done with a project, I'm so done with it. Like, after I tour it, I am finished. And I'm like, on to the next project. I don't reminisce much over it. I don't think about it. I don't think about what could be done. I don't listen to music. I don't listen to old music. I don't listen to none of my old music. Really? None. Zero. Zero.
Yeah, I feel like I wore my Jordans one time. I don't have any of my work hung up in the house or anything.
Wow, really?
No.
Man, I would be popping my, like, oh yeah, this is mine.
I'm kind of done with a project once it's finished. I'll reflect on it maybe in looking at things that I feel like I want to keep exploring, but even seeing the show, sometimes once the work's done, I'll look at a work and it didn't even feel like I made it. You know, like, I feel like I was so immersed in the process at the time, and then the work is gone, and then I might not see it for like years later or months later, and then I see it from different eyes. Yeah.
And the last audience question, what are you grateful for today?
Family.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, family. You know, and not just, you know, my family, my friends, like all of them are family. But I think that's what motivates me. That's what keeps me going. You know, like, my friend group is a friend group of probably 30 years. Most of them, 20, 30 years. And for the most part, we've all stayed very, very, very tight. And, you know, they have opinions and point of views that I can trust. And they help guide my perspective a lot of times. And I appreciate it a lot.
Before we get to our closing question, Nina, historically, Virginia is like the birthplace of slavery. And you are a black woman here in Virginia with an exhibition in a brand new museum in Virginia Beach. How does that feel, walking in, seeing your work, knowing the history of this state, and obviously, y'all know what's happening around the country, but the history of our state, where your ancestors had to fight for what you're doing right now?
It's overwhelming. You know, I walked into my exhibition yesterday and just seeing my work behind a rope, like just thinking, well, we won't be, but but thinking about when I was going to museums and seeing work that was closed off as like super important work that you couldn't touch, and yeah, it makes me emotional, like to think that my work is in that position now, you know.
Our last question for both of you. The dictionary defines the word pursuit as to chase or to hunt, to secure or obtain, or just a regular occupation or pastime. When you think about your current pursuits in life, what are you chasing, what are you securing, and what are you occupying? I'll start with, what are you chasing?
Peace. Yeah, I'm chasing peace. You know, I feel like, you know, I try to make sure that everything around me is situated in a space where it's peaceful for them, which means it's peaceful for me, especially in my household.
Nina, what are you chasing?
Peace, also rest, sleep, relaxation.
I haven't learned how to do that yet. I'm definitely chasing that.
Yeah. So definitely chasing that right now.
What are you securing?
I think I'm trying to secure a place in the future. I think now I'm thinking about legacy and what I can do now, where, you know, my work can be helpful to others long after I'm here.
Yeah, securing just, I don't know, I'd have to say just, you know, like generational wealth for my kids. That's it.
And what are you occupying?
Man, occupying? Man, I don't know. I gotta think about that one.
Yeah, I don't know. Right now I feel like I'm in a space of reinvention. I think after making work, I can't believe like 20 years now, I think I've come to a point where I want to try something different, not making art, but just thinking about how to reinvent myself and do something, more experimental. Yeah.
Nina and Push, we are incredibly proud of you both. Thank you for this beautiful conversation. Nina, congratulations on this exhibition. I mean, I hope if you have not had a chance to see it, please go see it. Open all weekend. Thank you both. Thank you for traveling here. Thank you for being here and always showing love to Virginia.
Come on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of MOCA, on behalf of, you can go, On behalf of Virginia Museum of Contemporary Art, we thank you all for coming out this evening. Grand opening is tomorrow. It is sold out, unfortunately, if you don't have your tickets, but you can make your way here throughout the weekend. You can also support online via donating, shouting out on social media. Thank you again, and we will see you tomorrow.